Welcome to TimSold Talks. Join us as we dive into all things real estate, talk about business, food, cars, and much more with industry experts. Dream it, believe it, achieve it. Welcome back to another episode of TimSold Talks. Very honored to have Albert from Kych Co here and tell us about his life story. Thank you very much for coming on, bud.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Tim. It's an honor to be here. I heard about your podcast a while back, and I was like, when are you going to get me on the show, right?
Yeah, no, we're glad that we finally get all the calendars synced up and everything. So I know you're a very busy man. But before we begin, I just need to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Eatable Popcorn. They're a local homegrown Canadian success story. I would call them like the Baskin Robbins of popcorns. They've got so many different flavors. And the one that we have here for trial today is called the Dean Martin Special. It's the Italian truffle, black truffle, and charcoal salt.
Oh,
Please.
wonderful. Okay, let's try
and
it.
see what you think.
All right.
Bit of salt, but then do you taste the truffle flavors?
I do.
Yeah, like it's one of
It's
my
actually quite
favorites.
strong.
Yeah, no, it's like
I don't know if once I'm, putting a handful in my mouth, will it increase?
Yeah.
I could do it.
Yeah, no, I think it goes well with all sorts of occasions, and their claim to fame is they made it into the goodie bags for the Oscars attendees I think 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And they've now formed partnerships with like Disney, Netflix, all the
And
big
they're local.
Marvels. They're local. Yeah, they're
that's
home.
amazing.
Yeah, one of our clients actually.
We got to
they're helping.
support local business.
Got to support local, Canadian, and a homegrown success story. So amazing to them. So
Very
yeah.
cool.
And if you want to buy, or for our guests that are listening, if you want to try them out, you go to eatable.com and you put in the TimSold promo code. You'll get extra discounts. So yeah, feel free and let me know what you think.
Okay, very
How would you rate this out of 10?
I would give it a solid 8.9.
8.9.
Only reason being I'm not a popcorn type of guy, but
okay.
I am when I'm watching movies, not in the morning
Yeah.
time.
Well, sometimes just some drinks and everything.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good stuff. I really think the flavor is gonna build up after you throw more in your mouth. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And they've got many different flavors to try. So like I said, they're like the Baskin Robbins of popcorn. They got like, I don't know how many. Just go on the website and they got tons of them. But
Very cool.
yeah. Okay. Albert, for our listeners that don't know about you and Kych Co, can you give us a brief summary of what you guys do?
Yeah. Where do I start? I mean, the journey has been long, let's just say. But we are a design and build firm, a design and build agency, and we work mainly with realtors and investors. We are
And sorry, when you say design, it's design custom homes. built,
design,
design build.
design of conceptually and also permits. So essentially in the
zoning,
design world, there's interior, there's conceptual, there's consulting. We are kind of in-house A to Z service for designing, which is conceptually renders all those things so people can visualize what they're building, whether it be internal space or exterior space or landscape. We do it all.
They're all okay.
More importantly, we're specialized in getting the permits and consulting people on what type of permits, how to get the permits, who to use for the permits, whether you need to pair up with, say, an architect or an in-house engineer or other consultants. So we are that company that arranges that. We're the kind of the prime consultants. And we do the build. And simply put, build is anything renovations or construction. So whether it be tearing down your house, rebuilding it, or tearing down several houses and rebuilding that, or a very simple washroom renovation or kitchen fabrication, we do that too. So we've been doing this for 11 years this year.
Okay, congrats.
I started with my wife, Kych Co. Kych is actually my Chinese initials, my wife's Chinese initials put together.
Oh, okay. Amazing.
Yeah, we started 11 years ago, and we were before that. I was working for construction companies. I was working for design companies, and I really thought that the customer experience could be much better. So I said, you know what, I want to do it. But I realized one thing as I was working with all these other companies and where I was learning from, and that doing it all by yourself is very difficult, and it will take a very long time. So it's a combination of trying to figure out on yourself, but collaboration, hence the and co and company, right? Or and collaboration. Because I truly believe that we can skip a few years each time you find a good partner, right? And that's kind of the concept behind Kych Co, collaboration, trying to provide that bespoke renovation experience, right? Where you're happy as a client, I'm happy. My trades are happy, and that's even more important. If my people are not even happy, we don't want to do it. So finding that combination is easier said than done. It's finding the right balance of processes, generally understanding the target market so that we don't sell this market something that they don't want, right? And forcing the deal through. We've taken a lot of time over the years to figure out how to match up those three components to create happy people, you know?
Oh, that's a very good success formula, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Making everyone happy. So, when you talk about your backgrounds, are you an engineer or an architect or designer? What's your background? How do you get into
That's a
this?
good question.
Yeah.
And this is where it's probably surprised a lot of people. I'm actually a graphic design base, advertising.
Oh, okay.
I actually went to OCAD, but I didn't graduate OCAD. In fact, I stopped on year one, right? Dropped out after year one. There was other story behind that. We'll touch base on that later on. Actually broke my neck, right?
Oh.
So, but you know what? Not gonna lie to myself.
Yeah.
I used that as an excuse to say no more because I realized that, you know what, I was already in the workforce and I really wanted to, make an impact immediately. Little did I know that, that way is actually the long route. Going through school is actually the easier way, right?
Yeah.
But I did see a lot of things that I could have learned at that moment in time by working in the workforce. So that's what I did.
Yeah, so it's kind of fast tracked your
Fast track,
learning.
but I'm a
right?
graphic designer, so I've
Okay.
always been working with making things look good and projecting it. So adapting to other softwares in the interior designing space, right, or the rendering or the engineering space was quite easy for me.
Okay. And is your wife a similar trade, or because you guys partner together?
Oh, she's just my boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
not. She's always been in the service industry. So we understood how to do things to make sure the client is happy, right? And so paired up with a little bit of theater through graphic design and advertising is what you ultimately learn how to present a product properly or present a service properly, right? Is key. So
That's key, yeah.
we found a lot of synergy. In the recent years, I've taken on the front end, and because of my two kids, one is 11 and one is 4 now.
Okay, wow.
And so all her time is dedicated to making sure that they're not running too wild, right?
And other activities too, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, as the home improvement company, you've been building it for 11 years. What is your future vision of the company? Where do you want to see it grow to?
Wow. I love the questions you're asking me. Like, these things are usually what I'm thinking about when I'm driving, from one place to another, job site to a job site. But yeah, I do have a vision for Kych, and it's actually to do a few things. One is we ultimately want to move into a international size company. What we're doing right now is we're bridging over to Miami and we're bridging over to Calgary.
Okay. Wow.
We don't have satellite offices set up yet, but we're working all the steps in between to slowly get there. It's not a rush.
Okay.
But I also find that the current turmoil in the market through all of the different elections, both south of the border and north of the border, is creating a lot of turmoil. In fact, it's pretty funny. I've spoken with a lot of stateside friends, and they're trying to move up, while a lot of states above the border guys are trying to move down or across. And so this creates a lot of opportunities for cross mingling, and a lot of people is trying to learn about Ontario and vice versa. So me being there, I hope to be part of that process. As that international agency that services these investors and these realtors in general, right?
And what have you learned, like, as you're expanding this? Like, what are the differences between like Ontario and Calgary and like Miami? Like, what are the differences?
Because we're in such a broad space of, say, design and renovation, different markets are being affected. For example, right now we've seen a lot of renovations in the mid-range, as in from 100K to 250,000, has slowed down dramatically. But there are also a lot of rental type of construction happening. So the multiplex space is really booming. People hunting down multiplex lands, properties to do what, I guess, oversimplifying this, but a buy and hold strategy rather than a quick flip strategy, because the market pricing is not exactly fluctuating. There's no boom cycle happening, kind of in a semi-recession. So it's difficult for a buy flip model to
Pricing model
happen.
right now.
So people are leaning more towards the buy and hold or the BRRRR strategy, whatever we want to call it. It's the same thing. So basically, buy and hold, and hopefully it appreciates in the future, but also generates positive income now. So everyone's across all of the cities are trying to find out, well, where do I put my money?
Where the best
Do I go to stocks? Scary, kind of scary, but you know what? People that have the right strategy will play their game, right? So a lot of people choose real estate is because it's kind of stuck between the bonds and the stocks. It's kind of in the middle, right? With your very safe ground leases to a very opportunistic development situations. Right? And so it's naturally same patterns are happening across the board because of the market slowing down. Now there's always pockets. There's always those niche pockets that are always have a potential to boom up. They don't follow the market trends. They just, because of the demand of people surging into the area, it booms up like 20, 30%. Those would be what we call the opportunistic things. So if you have the stomach for it, then it's a great model.
It's a great bet, right? Yeah. And when you say those opportunistic pockets, where would you classify that in Ontario from what you've seen?
I don't want to be held accountable with this.
No, it's just like kidding.
I'm just kidding.
No financial advice.
We talk about it all the time. So for me, in a couple of years back, it was Stouffville for me. So I literally moved out of Richmond Hill and Markham, which I grew up in. Actually started in Scarborough, followed my father's strategy, and we moved all the way up to Richmond Hill. And ultimately, at some point, I said, "Hey, family, let's go to Stouffville," because I condo development there. I really researched the area. I really liked it. It was heavily French speaking. I wanted my sons to speak French. Damien and Lucien, both French influenced names because Canadian at the end of the day, and they are at least predominantly because they're born here. And so that's the idea, right? Finding pockets. For me, it was Stouffville. Right? So other pockets that people are for multiplex, it's generally places with dense population, where transit is a little easier, and there's high demand to go into that area.
I see.
But if you get too close to the condos, then that don't make sense either, right? There's a certain few streets in each township that which is the next one. It really comes down to zoning. The zoning development really fluctuates where people want to live and where people want to invest in real estate.
And I think zoning maybe we should touch on a little bit because a lot of our listeners may not be familiar with that. My understanding is even the different municipalities have their own zoning bylaws or zoning requirements, right? And that makes it a little bit more, you got to know who to work with or which route to take when you're putting your applications for, let's say, Toronto versus like Stouffville versus, Vaughan.
Right.
Mm.
So, maybe I could ask you a question. Like if you were to, who would you call, right? Like you would call the city, generally, right? But think about that is when you're a single parcel land and you're not a developer and you're not doing major development subdivisions, you call the hotline. The hotline gets you to the clerk. The clerk at the city maybe represents one department, which is a zoning department. And you ask, can I do this? And they're like, either they know and they tell you right away, or they don't know and say you need to hire someone professional to tell you. And so what I find that there's a lot of empty pockets in the process pre-purchase. You need to find out so many things. Zoning is just one component, whether you can or cannot do it. But there are other more overpowering jurisdictions that have a say as well, such as conservation, such as heritage, archaeological, and fire, right? There's nothing you can do if you breach the fire code, right? Essentially, right? Everything may check out, just one thing is missing in the fire code, then this whole project is stopped. So, but the city won't tell you that. So who do you ask, right? And that's the main question. And I think I realized that there are a lot of people, there are urban planners, there are architects, and a lot of consultants and engineers that know this, but why isn't this in a centralized location, right? By now. I don't know. I'm not gonna figure it out. I just know that I'm going to try to get as close as possible to providing a tool that has that. So created this thing called the zoning analysis report that I do, I think, pretty well. I can pat myself on the back sometimes, right? But we've been doing it for a long time now, maybe 8 years ago when people start buying houses left, right, and center. Remember that one
Yeah, the
cycle?
crazy boom,
Everyone's
yeah.
buying 2, 3 properties, boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom. I
yeah.
didn't know
Didn't matter, just buy it.
how it's happening. But realized that a lot of people bought bricks, literally. They couldn't do anything. It's because the zoning maybe said, yes, you can, but fire was messed
Yeah.
up, conservation, green belt, they didn't even know that
Yeah.
a certain portion of the green belt crossed over the corner of the property and now triggering the
strong,
whole process. Things that were supposed to take 4 to 6 months became 1 year and more,
yeah.
right? Some even worse than that. And so I created that zoning analysis report, and we scrape around 15 different websites, and we pull together all the critical information that an investor first will need to know,
Yeah.
and that they can say, essentially tell them go or no go, go or no go. And all of this is public data, and it should be. There's only a few cities, I'm going to mention it right now, that are not public. And I think they should be because it's a critical information.
Information, yeah. It's free.
Right.
It's public information. It should
Some,
be.
not all cities are free. Let's just say not all cities are free. But I think all the cities are working on the infrastructure and in their own way, organically building up infrastructure, training staff to deal with this volume that we need to
requires.
achieve.
Yeah.
Right? It's getting better. Everything's getting better. It's just knowing and learning how to work with each municipality because they work a little bit differently.
Yeah.
You can expect that, city A will work exactly like city B. That whatever you did here can work exactly the same way there. The wording is a little bit different. The teams are a little bit different. So just learning the ins and outs is important.
Yeah.
Right.
And to your point of if you're working in different municipalities here in Ontario are so complicated already, when you expand over to Calgary or you expand down to the US, how does that, is that a 10-fold, 100-fold, like 1,000-fold? Like
It's
what's
actually quite
or is it
similar.
Similar? Okay.
So I tried my zoning analysis in many different places.
Yeah.
We've done a few in Miami. We've done a few in Calgary, Vancouver. We even tried something like Norway. But then that's where we realized no, because even in English-speaking predominantly countries, the wording from city to city is already different.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
That the definition of what height restriction means is different from city to city. It's already confusing, right?
Okay.
Imagine trying to get a language barrier on top of that. And at that point, I said, you know what? No, we need to keep the integrity of our service and our report. So we scaled back. So now we mainly focus essentially here, Miami, and Calgary.
Okay.
Right, just these
Those
three
are the-
places doing zoning analysis, feasibilities. Yeah.
Okay. And that's the low hanging fruit to tackle first.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and I think that is what generally kickstarts any project.
Yeah.
Because once they know that they've done everything that they can to find out what they can find out publicly,
Yeah.
at least they can sleep at night or know that they've done an educated decision.
Yeah, yeah.
And then from there, we go through the permit phases, the conceptual permits, and then construction, right?
So you guys really do
Natural
end to end, right? Like
End to
it's-
end, really,
yeah.
yeah.
And how would say the bulk of your business, like what percentage makes up the beginning, the investor analysis, what actually going to go through the design and how, go through the design build itself, like, and the time frame it takes to go through that process with you?
For me, it's actually like 70-30. So 70% construction and 30% consulting and design.
Okay.
It's just because we're not a overly specialized design company or an interior design company, for example, where people find those companies specifically for design only. And then beyond that, they get referred to or they have their own builder, contractor, renovation team, right?
Okay.
So therefore, my business is predominantly construction heavy. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. No, it's good to know. And how's that kind of, any challenges kind of faced during the last, obviously during COVID, but now to the new cycle, what are some of the challenges of running a construction firm?
The biggest construction struggle is trying to stay nimble on your feet because as the market fluctuates, the way people finance their projects completely change. At some point, when mortgage rates were rather low, like low as in like 1.95 low,
Yeah.
people had much more leverage. And so they did a lot more renovations. They did a lot of residential, things like that. Now the residential market has slowed down, right? Now, well, the banks still need to lend, right? Well, how do they do it? They have other ways such as commercial, right? And what I kind of love dealing with is what we call resi-mercial.
Resi-mercial?
Resi-mercial, right? Now, what that is residential
mixture of
zoning
both,
is a house, right? But because it has 5 rental units, 5 doors there,
Yeah.
then it triggers the commercial financing.
Yeah.
Now, but I'm by no means any mortgage agent, but
I am though, so I can help you.
very good. So you know that TDS,
Yeah.
the LTV or LTC in this case, like is completely different. You'll be able to leverage a lot more. And there's these, lots of government subsidies and programs that aid the affordability problem, accessibility problem, eco-friendly problem, right?
Yeah.
And so there are programs like
Initiatives,
MLI Select that all of us are diving into right now because we want to find that product that will allow our investors to grow, right? Even in the stagnant market. So multiplexes is what we're passionate about.
Yeah.
Right? It's only really got to popularity around 2 years ago. I mean, but these programs have been around forever. It's just that there was no need. There were easier outs, right? But now, because of the limited selection of real estate products that you can make money on immediately, people are turning to these kind of multiplexes. So 5 doors and up is the key. 5 doors and up.
And did that help with the zoning? The Ontario allowing like 3 doors, 3 lots or 3 units on one lot now?
Yeah, it's helping. So there are even more bylaw reforms coming. For example, allowing for 6 plexes. So they have to grow organically together.
Yeah.
So if zoning changes too fast, and the people living in that area are not accepting, they're going to push back. For example, you got slightly more luxury areas. They don't want to see multiplexes, right? So where does the bylaw change? Because they're all grouped under one, for example, residential one or whatever, residential two. But sometimes those more luxury streets, right? It's just one street away from, let's just say, a townhouse development. Even though that townhouse development could be very high-end, upscale, right? But the cul-de-sac people do not want to see a multiplex in their cul-de-sac, right? Clearly, they don't want that.
Yeah.
So that's why I really respect the city staff, right? Those guys that write those bylaws that have to deal with all levels of bureaucracy to make sure that they find the right balance, way, the right terminology, the people that are trying to hack the system, how to defend against it. That's crazy. Like I can't even imagine my brain working that way.
Oh, wow.
My brain just works how to decipher it, right? But writing it, that's a whole different
developing it, that's
like brain power. That's crazy. Mad respect to them, right?
Okay. And, talking about, the city staff, you must have a lot of collaboration with them where you must have to work alongside with them a lot of the times, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Whether up front or in the shadows, right? As a consultant. But all of the cities, the majority of the cities in the GTA area, we have worked with over the last 11 years, right?
Yeah.
And it also actually started with helping out the community, right? Our community were predominantly in Chinese speaking, Cantonese, Mandarin speaking. Yep. And a lot of them didn't understand all these bylaw things, these permit things, right? Because everyone starts off doing smaller renovations that doesn't require permits. Eventually, as their clientele matures, they have to mature with them. Their team grows and the project scale grows. And therefore, all these things, WSIB kicks in, permits kick in, all sorts of things kick in, insurance kicks in like heavily. And when they grow too fast, they have a hard time scaling along with it. And that's kind of where I came in. So Albert, come help me, right? How can I do this? A guy with the white hat showed up. They're saying stuff I don't even understand. Like how can we resolve this immediately? I don't want to get in trouble. I want to fix this problem, right? I want to stay professional. And that's kind of how I navigated towards what I'm doing now, of more consulting heavy, permit heavy, where in the very beginning it was just design heavy. Like it was just me with a laptop with a software, SketchUp and AutoCAD, right? To eventually now we're doing majorly consulting.
Kind of want to ask about that because, when you first started, AI wasn't around. Now with AI kind of, at the forefront of everything, how's that, or what do you envision that changing the business like?
Oh, you know what? I already experienced that through the graphic design boom and bust. Right. When we started using Photoshop, the filters were not one click. You had to put 10 filters together to create one effect.
Oh, okay.
And then as Photoshop, I think I was using 3 or 5. I can't remember. It went to like 8, 9, and then CS, and so on and so forth. It got more and more powerful where I was competing for work against 14-year-old kids and from high school that were outdoing us and doing for free.
Wow.
I was like, how do you compete in something like that? So I was scared at that time, and I was like, oh man, I'm worried, right? Maybe I'm not in the right field. Now, by all means, people that stuck with the graphic route, right, and learn the vertical stack, and they're all working for agencies now, making good money, right? A lot of my friends are still in there, right? But I decided to jump ship and go to the interior design side, right? And naturally, through doing the menus, right, and eventually pairing up with constructions that did restaurants, right? So that was kind of an organic way that we naturally gravitated towards that. But it was tough, right? Working against AI sounds terrible. So the thing is, don't work against it, work with it. Either learn it yourself or pair up with people that are at the forefront of that game. And you don't need to unlock the whole power of AI like robots, but you just know just enough so that you can stay competitive and that you can essentially cut costs. Because automating certain processes, right? You can now save time and either service your clients better or go get more clients, right? Instead of trying to do the mundane everyday tasks when clearly now there are other solutions. And most of them are subscription based. Right.
It's a tool, right? It's a new tool in your...
Now, I know I'm not one, but I know there are a lot of AI consultants out there that can help you piece together the things that you need just enough, not overpowering, not too little, just so that you can achieve, for example, 15% saving month on month,
project,
increase leads by X amount, like small goals, baby steps towards this AI frontier, you know?
Okay. And so what kind of innovations are you guys working on looking forward in that space? Like, what do you guys... Are you allowed to tell?
No, there's no secrets out there nowadays. AI, not so much. I am still a true believer of the physical business card, double hand pass over, the handshake, the direct marketing hand to hand, the podcast, the seminars. I'm really a big fan of it. My whole team is too. So we don't lean too much on AI. My marketing team thinks otherwise. They think AI is the way. I get it, but I don't understand it. So, and they were trying to do this AI bot to answer some of these leads that were coming in, and there were too many, and we couldn't pick up the phone on time. So we introduced this AI bot. And but that is a learning curve. I'm looking at these conversations that were kind of translated to text. I was like, this bot is pissing them off more than helping them. Can you turn it off? He's like, no, Albert, let's not turn it off. Let's tailor it, right? There's a learning curve. Don't reject it outright. And now it's getting better. To when I call it, I was like, oh, okay, is this real or fake, right? So it takes time to adapt any type of technologies, and everyone has to go towards that.
I experimented with those AI bots at the beginning too. It's just for fun, just kind of see what the technology was about. At that point, it was still kind of like, you can tell it's an AI bot, but now I think with the second or third generations of them, it's really
very hard to tell, right? But even staying on top of technology in general in our field is mandatory. You need to have the top hardware, and on top of that, the top softwares. And if you can't, then you need to outsource certain components without losing control over the product or the service. So how we do it is we render everything in-house. No, not render, sorry, model everything in-house to the T, so that we're understanding engineering. On top of that, all of the fire, the building code, everything. And then at the very last stage, once it's all modeled out, the client sees it in 3D, they understand it, we understand it, our team understands it, then we send it off for final rendering. And to be quite honest, there's certain things that other countries do better. Ukraine, Iran, China, Mexico, India, rendering is their game. But then you have to control the style of rendering, otherwise it goes chaos, right? So you bring it up to a certain part and then you offload. And I insist on keeping a slightly larger than needed design and consulting team so that we can maintain that control. I think that's super important.
Having that
kind of old school.
But it works, right? I think that's what's
kind of like, if you're not in the office, you're not working. I'm changing too, right? But I used to think like that, and I realized that's probably not the way anymore. So again, adapting to changes is key.
It's a generational
it's a generational paradigm shift is happening, right?
And if you don't learn, then you don't adapt, right? So it's a survival of the business. Okay, so for our guests, our audience that are listening, what advice would you give to homeowners that are trying to start a project like this? What some of the key kind of things to look out for, pitfalls, and some advice you'd...
There's a lot to look out for depending on where you're coming in from. some people, when they go through this large project, so I'm saying it's large because other than buying a house, beyond that is just buying a boat or a very expensive car, right?
Yeah.
Or buildings. Like that house is, for majority of people, probably one of their first major purchases in life, right? And so much emotion is going through it. So first things first, work with a team that will calm your butt down, right? You need to calm down and think logically. You put the emotions out. Yes, now there is the emotional part of it, the designing, the touching, feel. That's important too, because you want to be part of that process, knowing that you have no regrets. You want to explore every cranny, every nook, every thought. The right processes will bring you through that. But one thing is key. You need a few things. And I don't know if it's about avoiding potholes or just doing it right. One is you need to be working with the top technology and the hardware. Because if you have outdated technology and hardware, you're not doing it right. You're doing it too slow. And time frame is the name of the game in any renovation project, right? If you could save a month, that's 1 month of savings. If you don't save a month, that's 1 extra month of expenses and overhead costs. And it's crazy, right? And then you need to work with, understanding what's out there. You need to know everything all up front. You can't learn it halfway through. And that's the trap. When you sign the deal and you learn it halfway through that you need to spend another 100K, well, you could have on the refinance got that extra 100K to cover it and not pull it out of your own pocket. And so knowing as much upfront as possible that is available publicly is absolutely important. Working with professionals like realtors and mortgage professionals, massively important. I don't know. When I ask my clients, when you want to buy a house, who do you call first? who do you call first, right? Majority, from what I've heard, is I call my realtor because I want to go buy something. But I think the right way is to call the mortgage broker first, right? It's because look, how much buying power do I have, right? So majority of the time, people make decisions off of emotion and because it's exciting, right? I'm the same way. Everyone's the same way in reality.
It's human nature,
But I think when it comes to large investments, such as a house or a project or renovation or a remodel, whatever it may be, you need to think about it logically. So public data first, then processes. Do I have all of the team members to make sure this deal won't fall apart midway through? And then just using the best technologies and hardware and people to get it done. Right?
No, some good advice. Thank you for that.
In a nutshell.
Just mindful of our time. So as we kind of wrap up, we always ask our guest two kind of favorite questions. Number one is, what is the one feature of your dream house, or do you already have it? Do you build it yourself?
So that would, first of all, be in a location where it's predominantly sunny. Potentially with palm trees, you know. Looking at banana trees and palm trees is just so much more relaxing, you know. But if it was anywhere in the world, I definitely would need it to be fully smart home.
Smart home.
Audio system, video system, lighting system fully built in. And it's easier said than done because there's so much product out there. But there's some key features. Kitchen is the heart of the home. That kitchen must be multi-purpose. I would prefer to have back kitchen and front kitchen for some heavy cooking and keeping the main kitchen clean. I generally will have a lot of guests over, so I need this big space so that people can surround the table, have family time, good wholesome time together. I'm not so much of a swimmer, so I would leave that alone. But I would definitely want a multi-use garage with a golfing simulator. 1,000%, right?
No, I think there's definitely a few listings out there for you that fit that criteria. Maybe in Miami, but
no, Toronto, there's tons.
Toronto. Second question we like to ask is, you talked about the kitchen, but what is the one food you like to eat for the rest of your life? What you could eat?
To be quite honest, it might be the Jamaican patty.
Jamaican patty?
Yeah.
Why?
I just that's comfort food for me. You know, growing up in Scarborough, you know, Jamaican patty king, Alwyn's, Allen's, like all of those.
Right? Your favorites,
So whenever I find that I just need some comfort, I find the closest good patty place and just grab one patty. That's changed the mood.
Nice.
So if I had to pick one, that would probably
be the one. Okay. No, that thanks. And we'll put up those links there for everyone to kind of go check them out too.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Okay, so that pretty much wraps up this week's episode of TimSold Talks. Thank you much, Albert, for coming and sharing your vast experience about the building and the zoning process and the construction process there. Where can they find you? Where can our audience find you if they want to kind of reach out?
Yeah, my website,
Your website, yep.
kitchenco.com
kitchenco.com,
or
yep.
our Instagrams.
Instagram,
right?
yep.
And I'm pretty easy to find. Just find me, poke me,
Yeah.
send a message, and really easy to find.
Good. And we'll put all the links for everyone to see and so you can access them.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed today's episode and looking to buy, sell, invest real estate, you know who to call. Give us a review. Follow us on our Spotify and podcast and all our socials. But if you want to go build a custom home, you want to build a house, get some zoning information, please go visit Albert and check them out and get some advice about that whole daunting, because it is quite a daunting process. So put yourself in some trusted hands and help them. They'll guide you through the way.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy that you invited me. I'm super happy to be here. Thank you again. I can't thank you enough. But I hope that we can do more of these seminars and webinars, right?
Yep. Yeah, no, we want to put the knowledge out there so people are more informed and can make a good decision when they're coming to one of the largest decisions that they're going to make in their lives, right? So,
yeah.
Dream it, believe it, achieve it, guys. It's a beautiful day to sell homes. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for Albert for coming on board.
Thank you. Thank you, awesome.
Cheers. Hi, I'm Tim Kern, and I proudly lead the TimSold team. We're voted as one of the top 3 brokerages in Markham, and we will sell your house fast and for top dollar with the least amount of hassle, or we guarantee to buy it. Call us today and start packing.